interested in us. They don't care about our concerns. They fully intend on moving ahead. They knew we were going to do this. They knew there were going to be concerns. They've taken that into account. They have contingency plans. They have government people backing them up, and they think they're going to steamroll us. We got to do our best to try and stop that. So educate yourselves. Call your... Oh, we've been saved, though. A county commissioner in Idaho has given me the secret to how he can fix all this. He told me to sell my house. The market's hot.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that. I know which way I'll be voting next time, and it's not that way. At any rate, do your homework, know who they are. Don't take them at face value. Don't take their scientific numbers. Bill gave us a great explanation of what's going on. I didn't even understand what he said because I'm no engineer, don't pretend to be. But there are other facts out there, know them. No matter where you are on this whole coin, the bottom line is information is power. So get informed, take a stance one way or the other. Remember, every letter that goes to government agency is one that's going to help. 10 of us writing a letter does nothing. 1,000 of us sending letters to agencies like the government and the EPA and the different states makes a huge difference. So bury them with letters and phone calls, and the fight goes on. Thank you.
Next up is Phyllis Cardos.
Okay, I'm stuck with the timeline here because how did we get to this point? Why are we sitting here today? First thing I need to have you do, though, where it says spring, and I don't know how to use these little things, but I'll try. How many were here the last time? Okay, great. I'm glad you're back. Just change that 2015 to 216. I've looked at this 100 times and I missed that one. So that should be the spring of 2016. This just didn't start this fall. A lot of us think it just started this fall. No, it started way before this fall. And in the spring of 2015, High Test approached PUD and talking about power. All right, and that came from the Newport Miner, August 24th, 2016. At the same time, in that same article, Shelley Short was interviewed, and she talked about locating a smelter in Northwest Alloy site in Addy. The cost of power through Avista was going to be too high for High Test, and we knew they were looking at the USC site at that point in January of 2016. I think this is a critical piece right here. May 11th, even though a lot was going on between January and May, there's still blanks we're trying to fill in with a lot of documents and stuff. That's where Glenn Nenema up at the Kalispell Business Council wrote to the EPA requesting approval of their proposal to redesignate the lands within the exterior boundaries of the original Kalispell Indian Reservation a Class 1 area under the Clean Air Acts. And why? Because it was due to an imminent threat inconsistent with the tribe's long-standing efforts to protect our home from environmental pollution. I think that's a critical piece right there in that document. They were requesting May 12th, let's go up to Canada, because they originally wanted to build this in Canada, up in Golden, not too far from Alberta, where their where their headquarters is at. They bought a. There were concerned citizens, just like us, that spoke up there in their council meeting, and they didn't want that silicon smelter up there because there was no critical analysis of its potential on the environment and the tourism and recreation industries. And there has not been a critical analysis to this day for this area right here. July 6, High Test announced that it has completed the purchase of the Horse Creek mineral lease in Golden, British Columbia. That's a silica ore mine containing 99.82% purity. August 19th, not very long, because they're working They're working the business up in Canada, and they're working the business down here in Washington at the same time. August 19th, the Washington Department of Commerce announces that a new $300 million silicon smelting facility proposed for Usk, Washington has been designated a project of statewide significance and will receive $300,000 in economic assistance through Pend Oreille Economic Development Council. And that did happen. Keep in mind, this was meant for the Usk site up there at the time. That's what that $300,000 grant was for. By the way, that was taxpayers' money. That was our money. That went directly to High Test for them to do some engineering and some different things in preparation for this. High Test and not too high, Mike, there. You lose me. August 24th, High Test rejects British Columbia's offer. British Columbia, people up there, the public people, or not the people, but the government up there wanted this up there. People did not want it. And High Test rejects British Columbia's offer to process the silica up there. And one of the reasons is because of the higher electrical prices. So what happened here in Washington, we gave High Test an empty basket and we said, we're going to fill it up with free land, cheap electricity, and anything else you want. Reduce taxes, whatever you want. How could any company turn that down? And they didn't. August 24th, this was an article in the Newport Miner. The land isn't purchased and the electricity isn't connected, but a Canadian firm is planning to build the silicon smelter up at the newsprint. We've all heard that before. September 7 was the notice, the first notice of the surplus real estate property for PUD, the 3 tax parcels now up on the hill that is now owned by High Test. It was at that time 172 acres, and the fair market value at that time was $245,000. It went up to 180 some acres when Pend Oreille County decided to sell 13.8 acres of land to give them egress into that, because that was landlocked. That property was totally landlocked without the sale of Pend Oreille County, 13 acres. This one I know over here, November 14, 2016. I really like this letter. I wish they would have thought of us when they wrote it. And this came from Pend Oreille County Commissioner's letter to Jason Tomeko, CEO, High Test Stand. Our entire community, especially the Kalispel tribe, is very anxious to learn more about the facility, and the sooner we can start to answer their questions, the better as you proceed. We would like to reaffirm our commitment of October 12th, I have not found that letter yet, to assist you in any way we can with planning, designing, permitting of your project. This was still, they were talking about the Usk site on November 14, 2016. Okay. In 2007, Ray Pierre, Vice Chair of the Kalispel Tribe, was sent a letter on behalf of the Pend Oreille County Commissioners. Along this same letter went out to Bonner County Commissioners and a lot of people in commissions in different places wanting them to serve on a steering committee. Pierre, much to his credit, turned it down. And because they did not know enough of about the project to commit themselves to serving on this committee. Then we find out in early February 2017 that High Test will not be building in Pend Oreille County, and it was going to go back to Addy, which was the original. Also, February, exactly the same time, the report by Rodolphe that the Kalispel tribe had initiated, that report was completed. And it's an excellent report, by the way. I have a copy of that at home on my desk. February and March 2017, over there in Olympia, they were sweetening the pot for the public utility districts and also for high test. And so they passed legislation, SB 5515, an act relating to encouraging job creation and retention in rural economies through the transparent and accountable provision of targeted tax relief for silicon smelters. That did pass. That's now state law. Now, this is another one, May 23rd, 2017, a letter to our Governor of Washington, Inslee, from our Pend Oreille County Commissioners.
I have that. Do you want me to bring it up? That letter?
You have it?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. It's such an interesting one. We've done our research, we're doing our research. And we have documentation for everything we're presenting here today.
I've read that letter. You want to slap it?
If we go down, just go down, well, you can kind of read that for yourself. But they literally put down what the tribe had done. They said there was no basis for what they were saying. There was just one spot,
Bottom paragraph.
I don't see the paragraph right now.
No merit, bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Very last one.
There is no merit in the request for an air quality redesignation. That came from our Pend Oreille County Commissioners. Whose side are they on?
Not ours.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Thanks, Mike.
We've learned so much about Mike.
Down on the rail.
Okay, on June 7, 2000, now their high test is looking at a site south of Newport. Willenbrock says high test is looking at a site south of Newport on land owned by PUD in Pend Oreille County. June 14th, and though we've never seen this gentleman, he seems to be a key player. He has been in Newport several times along with his representatives. And they met in the Newport Minor office with Manus, Dorn, Shelley Short, Michelle. And June 20th, Pend Oreille County, Newport, Washington Resolution 21722, the Pend Oreille County Treasurer is authorized to sell Assessor's Partial 1918-2 by direct negotiations with the Pend Oreille County PUD no later than August 15, 2017, for a minimum price equal to the total appraised value. That was that little piece of land, 13.8 acres, and without that, there was no egress into those three partials that PUD sold to High Test. And Mike's got that there too. And what it says in this is what is real. They have two reasons that they can transact a sale without a bid. The first one is the sale is to any government agency and for public purposes. That did not apply. Number B, when the county legislative authority determines that it is not practical to build on property due to the physical characteristics of the property. So you know what they called that piece of land? Landlocked, with no road access. There's not a map there that proves that out. Am I right, Mike?
Yep, that's why they needed this piece of property.
So that, to me, was a false statement.
Well, the other thing I wanted to show too, on the number 22 version at the bottom, this was to be sold at the appraised value. They had a meeting with the prosecuting attorney.
They then met with the prosecuting attorney, had another executive meeting, and they came out with 2017-26.
And I'm about done up here. Do you want to go ahead? Point that out, Mike, then, the one you want to read.
Now they want to sell it at the assessed value. The assessed value is considerably less than what the appraised value. Mind you, this property was sold, the PUD purchased it for $500,000 in 1995. They also paid $6,400 in tax on top of that. They combined those three properties with this public property that they said is landlocked. They've owned that property since 1939. All four parcels they sold to High Test for $300,000. There are $14,000 in the transaction that is missing that we still have not found where it's at.
Okay, we're just about done. Can you pull it up there, Mike? He's working on it. Okay, I think we can go up. Yeah, we're just about done. Okay, there was an appraisal done. It was called from a company called Valbridge. And between July 12th and August 4th, 2017 of this year, they were out there on that property doing an appraisal. The Valbridge property advisors, I think they're out of Coeur d'Alene. And the appraisal report prepared with its, quote, intended use is to negotiate the potential sale of the PUD property to High Test Sands. So, and at that point, it had not been purchased yet, but that was the intention of the appraisal. High Test, on August 2nd, High Test still study a Newport site for silicone smelter. One of the things driving the enhanced environmental studies, they told us they were doing enhanced studies, was the Kalispel tribes studies